Hello, and welcome to a CX Moment. In these candid conversations, we chat with leaders about what's happening with their business, their support centers, and with their customer experience. This is a great opportunity to ask questions about agility, being digital first, or anything else that strikes your fancy. So please drop your questions into the Q&A. And if you like what we're chatting about, share it using hashtag CX Moment. Now that the logistics are out of the way, let's get started. I'm Sarah Reed from Zendesk, and let's say hello to Frances Brittingham from Calm. No matter what industry you're in, I expect you'll be able to relate to this week's conversation, because who hasn't needed a little bit more calm this year? So hi, Frances.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. How are you doing today?
No, I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking.
Well, it seems impossible that there is anyone out there who doesn't know about Calm, because y'all have been everywhere. But just in case, how do you explain what it is that Calm does?
Yeah, Calm provides an immersive mindfulness experience. It's an app you can download from your iOS App Store or the Google Play Store. And as soon as you enter it, you're provided a relaxing experience where you can learn to meditate, get some help falling asleep, and just generally fall into a sort of centered mindset.
I can say that I am one of those users who I was probably a once in a while user up until about a year ago, and then suddenly the app became one of my best friends. So let's get some insight. Let's drop in a poll and see who in the audience is actually a Calm user or not. And it's okay if you say, no, you don't meditate, or you meditate elsewhere. We just want to know so that we can direct the conversation accordingly. But before we get to the results, if someone is new to Calm, Frances, where do you suggest that they start?
Absolutely. It depends a little bit on what you're looking to get out of it. But we have a really great 30-day session called How to Meditate that really takes you through learning how to sit in silence and sit with your thoughts. But if you're coming to Calm to just get some immediate help in falling asleep, I definitely recommend checking out our sleep stories. They're bedtime stories for people of all ages, read by some of your favorite actors and voices out there. And they're really just soothing voices and slightly boring stories to help you fall asleep.
I like slightly boring stories by some really famous people who can just lull you to sleep. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. All right, let's see those poll results, because I'm super curious who we have. So 10% longtime users, 17% downloaded during the pandemic, not surprising. 53% say that they're not yet a Calm app user, so maybe we'll be swaying some individuals today. And then 22% meditate elsewhere. All right, so let's jump into some statistics, because I read some recently that honestly just blew me away. And for all contact center people out there, just get your head around these numbers. So in April of 2020, a month into the pandemic, first-time downloads of Calm jumped to 1.6 million people. And total downloads were 3.9 million, which was almost double from the entire year before. And just from January to April, you were up 36%. Like, those are just outstanding numbers. Why do you think that there was such a boom?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we all felt it, right? We are stuck at home. There's a pandemic. No one's been through this before. And everybody out in the world, the media, everyone is trying to help one another, like, get through this trying time. And I think that people were Googling, looking for resources. People were just trying to find a little bit, something that they could add to their routine that could potentially just bring them back to bring some aspect of normalcy back to their lives. And I think that that really led to people turning to Calm who wanted to help mitigate some of the stress that they're experiencing from the pandemic.
The stress and a lot of the unknowns, right?
Mhm.
It's like the past year has just been filled with them. And it almost feels, I don't think that's slowing down, right?
Right.
As we move into the new normal, however you want to call it, there's still going to be all those unknowns and stressors.
Yeah.
Now, Calm has always been a digital first company. Did you feel like you were uniquely prepared for the pandemic because of that? Or were there some big business CX moves that you still had to make in order to support all these new customers and all this new volume?
Yeah, I think that we were really lucky in that our team, for the most part, our CX team, for the most part, has been just a dispersed team. We have a team in the Ukraine. We have a team of contractors who have always worked with our support team from a variety of locations. And so, for that, because of that, we were um, fairly prepared to enter into this remote only space. But there were definitely some changes that we had to make on the management side, because those of us who were on the Calm team in the CX department full time were located in the office and very used to working together. So we did definitely make some changes in our working styles and had to sort of figure out how we best work together in a remote fashion. And that really came. And so some of the major changes we made were just um, holding office hours for our team
Ah,
in order to make sure that they had the space and opportunity to provide us and to just talk face to face with us. Something that probably should have happened before the pandemic, but we've really came up with because of the pandemic. So yeah, just some little ways that we changed in order to be there for one another. And I think that really was one of the major changes that happened in response to being even more remote than we already were.
and you're so right. I think for all of us, there has been some silver linings, right? With the pandemic, we've learned a lot about better working styles and better leadership and how to really support our teams in a remote environment. And so you had an extremely distributed workforce already. So you're
Yeah.
used to managing in that environment. But how was your support team impacted by this massive influx of volume? And I would also anticipate perhaps some more emotional customers as they were coming in and maybe the app wasn't working right and they'd come to depend on it, or they were undergoing their own stressors that probably got pushed onto your support team.
Yeah. Fortunately, our team is pretty well equipped to handle that like more stressed customer, because as you might imagine, while we saw more of them during the pandemic, this is Calm has customers who are stressed, who are going through trying times and are coming to Calm in order to work through these trying times. And so, on the one hand, our team was fairly prepared to help those customers already. But what we really needed to do was scale it operationally so that we could make sure that our large team of agents had everything they needed in order to efficiently help all of these customers. And so really what we ended up doing was scaling a little bit with our offshore team, because they are able to scale quickly and they provide the training on their end as well. But we ended up scaling internally quite a bit in order to meet this need, because from an operational standpoint, it was much easier to bring on, or much more effective to bring on some full-time people who could work
Right.
very closely with us to create new processes for CX and new workflows that helped us move more quickly and helped all of our agents get to these customers who really needed to hear from us more quickly.
Now, I'm not sure if you can answer this, so I'm going to ask it anyway. And if you can't for any reason, any privacy reasons, please just let us know. But Ben
Sure.
is curious how many support reps you have at Calm and what your monthly or annual ticket volume is.
Yeah, we have a team of 25 people right now. That fluctuates a little bit as we scale and to meet the needs of our team. So we just scaled back over the holiday season. We're usually at around 30.
Okay.
And we see about 500 tickets per day.
Wow.
So you can do the math.
Right.
But during the holidays, we'll see like 750 tickets per day. If we get to more than that, it's like a really busy time for us. And we were like pretty much there last April as our new in April of 2020, as all of these users were coming in, we were hitting between 750 and 1,000 tickets per day, which is it was a lot for our team for April. We were not expecting that.
April wasn't supposed to be the busy month, was
it? Was not. April is supposed to be our month to like reset,
calm, reset,
focus on those projects that got set aside for the holidays. Yes.
But I do have to say, with as many users as you have, 500 tickets a day is a pretty low volume when you consider that comparison to the number of active users you have. Yes. Is that because of how good the app is, how intuitive your self-service is? Like, what do you credit for that?
We definitely credit self-service quite a bit. I also do want to give a shout out to our product team. They have been working hard to make the app more user-friendly over the last few years and just help people find the content that they're looking for. That's one of the major struggles, I think, with the Calm app is that there's so much in there, but it's just an individual just needs to find that one piece of content that's for them. And so, yeah, we I would say that for the most part, we credit our self-serve and I'll also give a shout out to Solvi. They've helped us tremendously over the years, make sure that we're able to keep that self-serve rate high.
Solvi is a fantastic partner of ours as well. So good shout out to them. Kara is interested to know what channels your agents actually work in, and do they work in all channels or are they specialized in certain areas?
All of our agents work in email-based tickets or the ticket form that turns into an email-based ticket. That is, for the most part, the only channel that we actually use right now. And that has been a decision that we've made for a lot of reasons, but most importantly, for the privacy of our customers. We can very much make sure that the person we're talking to is the person who owns the Calm account. And there's some pretty personal data within a Calm account, as you might imagine.
Right.
So they are, it's just an extra precaution. Though we do also, over the last year, actually, we've noticed that our customers do want to be able to interact with the support team through social channels. And so we have started dedicating some agents to help with social channels as well. We try not to talk about Calm accounts over social, but we do what we can to help people. Right. We do what we can to help people navigate the Calm app and just find like the content that will fit their needs, and just generally help them make sure that they know how to get support, even if we can't support them through the channel they're asking us to.
Up until recently, your customers have mostly been end users of the app. So people like myself. That changed pretty dramatically over the past year when a lot of companies, including Zendesk, started offering the Calm app out to all of their customers or all of their employees. And I think I even told you this in one of our conversations where I was in a doctor's office and there were huge Calm ads all over the place. Are you stressed? Are you feeling a little like concerned? Download the app while you're sitting in the waiting room. And I was like, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
How, like, What a great idea, pushing this out to organizations. I expect that has taken off pretty significantly this past year.
Yes, it absolutely has. And, the funny thing is, it was before the pandemic, it was already something that we as a company were going to push and wanted to work on, is building out the B2B side of our organization. And so it really took off during the pandemic, as you might imagine, when employers were ready to talk about the importance of mental health. And I think that that's something that employers were sort of figuring out how to talk about with their employees, and recognized at the start of the pandemic that now's the time. We have to talk about it. We have to
Right.
recognize that this is a hard time that people are going through. And they turn to Calm as a benefit for their employees.
And I know you and I are on the same page with this, where it's been an unexpected blessing in the
Absolutely.
pandemic that not just people, but employees talking to their leaders, companies feeling comfortable talking to their employees about mental health and wellness, where those subjects were rather taboo before. And now we're open to having these conversations because, as we all know, the better human I am, the better employee I am. The better human I
Yes.
am, the better leader I am going to be. Do you think that that's going to stop just being this short-term trend, and it's going to start being the norm?
Absolutely not. I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood your question.
Absolutely, yes, I think is
Absolutely, yes. It is not a short-term trend. This is something that's going to stick with us. I mean, as our if you Google conversations with our CEOs, you'll find that we talk that Calm has been referenced as the Nike of the mind. And really what we're talking about is, you know, physical fitness wasn't at the top of everybody's minds many decades ago, but
right.
it's not going to go away. Like, people run, people do yoga, people maintain their physical health, and we are starting to recognize that maintaining your mental health is just as important. And I don't think that's going to change.
It is physical fitness for the mind. That's such a delightful way of approaching it. And one of the things that I think is so spectacular about Calm is you don't necessarily have to feel like you're meditating. It's more of listening to something that is shutting everything else down in the brain. And that's one of the benefits that I found. We're getting a ton of questions, as I knew we would. And so I'm going to start diving into a few more of these because
Sure.
people have some great things that they're curious about. Jeremy is curious about, you talked about stressed out customers and the fact that your customer support team is essentially an extension of that app. And how are you ensuring that your agents, your support organization, is also calm? Like, what are you doing for their mental health and well-being?
Yeah, definitely. I think that one of the most important parts of supporting our team's mental health and well-being is being vulnerable to them and expressing my own mental health and well-being, and creating the space for them to also express theirs. I think that, as you might imagine, everyone who works for Calm has access to the Calm app and can
Right.
use it and to support themselves. And I think that that is a wonderful tool, obviously. But I think as a manager, one of the most important things for me to do is just create space and help people understand that, like, I expect people to be going through something right now. We want them to tell us. We want them to tell us how we can support them, and just like making it clear that, like, I'm going through that too, and here are the ways it's affecting me, and like, just let me know how it's affecting you, and we'll work together to figure out what we can do moving forward. And um, another important and great thing about Calm is that we do have an unlimited PTO policy that we are encouraged to use. And I recognize that sometimes people don't have the same experience with unlimited PTO policies, but that does But with that, it'll gives people the space to, take that break when they need to. And I will just say that one of the most important things I think a CX team, but any team at any company should do, is make sure that there's some amount of redundancy, so that when someone does need a mental health break for a day, that it's not so difficult to cover for them, and they feel like they can take that break because they have teammates who are able to step up and fill the gaps that might arise when they take time off.
What a fantastic reminder to all of us that there is great worth in ensuring that you have those backup systems in place and backup people in place, because we can't always plan for those days that we wake up and it's like, I'm just not sure I can do this today.
Exactly.
And so I love that reminder. And it actually goes into a question that Michael is asking about self-service, and that you had talked a bit about your self-service and the fact that self-service is one of those great tools that can help take that pressure off of your agents, because it gives your customers that opportunity to handle their own issues.
Yeah.
But he would like to know, how do you anticipate what your customers' needs are for self-service and how it can be more relevant and useful to them? Like, how are you getting customer feedback?
Yeah, that's a great question. Fortunately, Solvi creates a dashboard that helps us identify the needs and gaps within our self-serve. In terms of anticipating, we a lot of times it's a guessing game, to be honest. And when you get to know your customers really well, yeah, you can start to and you really can start to anticipate what they're going to ask. I think B2B is a great example, where we, have now launched with many different partners. And so because of that, while each partner definitely brings new and different questions, we have learned from every partner in the past and are able to sort of create new Help Center articles that really can cater to the needs of new partners and hopefully mitigate some of those questions that we were able to learn, that we know that people that have come up in the past.
And another great shout out to Solvi, but I think it's also as your agents are getting those repeated questions, those are also great things that you can push back into your self-service. Yeah. And I know you have a very robust tool within the app, which certainly is there to help customers. Let's go back to that concept of office hours. We're getting a few questions about your office hours. The first question from Marissa is, did you hold those virtually, or were they held somewhere central for a direct team to get to?
Yeah, no, we hold them virtually. And really all it means is that I put on the calendar for our team, I'm going to be available for this hour every week. Actually, there's 2 different time slots to meet the needs of different time zones. And I'm just like, come ask any questions, provide feedback. I want to hear what you're hearing from customers. It's a great way to get insight from your agents to build out that help center. Yes. And to just bring it back to that. Yeah. I don't know. Are there any other specific questions about office hours?
So let's say agents want to come to an office hour. How do they request that time away from the work that they're supposed to be doing at that point in time?
Oh yeah, definitely. We set the expectation from the beginning that that if they want to come to office hours, we're not going to hold that against them in terms of their number of tickets they complete that during that hour of their work. It's more important for us that they have a space to ask questions than it is for them to, answer 4 additional tickets during the 20 minutes that they decided to come to our office hours. We think that the value add for giving them the space to ask questions and for them to get answers to the questions they have is significantly greater than that handful of tickets that they may have answered during that time.
And you just pointed out something so necessary. It doesn't require a lot of time, right?
Exactly.
15, 20 minutes, pop in, listen to what other people are saying and interested in, ask your question, get some feedback. Like, that's pretty extraordinary. And yeah, 15, 20 minutes, all agents can afford to take that time.
Yes.
Um, let's see. Oh, interesting question. Does your team work regular hours? And I'm assuming regular hours are more like M through F, 9 to 5, something like that. And then how does your BPO help support those other hours if that's the case?
Yeah. So our full-time team does work your typical like daytime. Calm generally is more of a 10 to 6 kind of crowd.
Maybe
So,
that's why you're also calm. 10 to 6, those are good hours.
but really I don't necessarily tell our full-time team the hours they need to work. They manage their schedules, but our BPO will cover, they start at about 5 p.m. Pacific time, and they work until about noon the next day Pacific time. And there are a few shifts in within that, so that there's some staggered coverage. But they really do help support us mostly during our off hours.
And another fantastic question that's come in from Jeremy is unlimited PTO is picking up steam. Zendesk has it as well. We fully recognize that it's the best, one of the best ways for providing that mental health for our employees. But he's curious, in a contact center type environment in customer service, do you extend unlimited PTO to your agents as well? And how does that work for you when there are SLAs that we all have to meet?
Yeah, definitely. So our most of our team that does not receive the unlimited PTO benefit is actually a part of our BPO. And so they do receive the benefits that their employer provides to them.
Right.
They do take time off, and we encourage them to take time off. They do have a different vacation policy though. But they are actually managing that schedule, and they are able to make sure that all of our shifts are covered. We just tell them roughly the number of hours hours of agents time that we need in order to cover the volume that we believe we'll have. And if a couple of agents overlap in terms of their, time off requests, they will ask us if that's okay, and we'll kind of look into the volume of tickets and determine whether or not we think we'll be able to manage the ticket volume at that time. And it's really a partnership. And I think that that's just something to, if you work with a BPO, I encourage you to make sure that that you feel like it is a partnership, and that the teams are working really closely together to provide for your customers.
That, again, you are throwing out such great pieces of advice and such fantastic little nuggets of intel, and that's absolutely correct. I worked for a BPO for many years, and our most successful relationships were with our customers who thought of us as partners. If you go into a BPO relationship just hoping you're going to save some money, it's probably not going to work out so well in your favor or for your customers.
Definitely. Exactly.
We have time for one more audience question. I told you this was going to go super fast, and it always does. What is the most important KPI that you measure in your organization?
Oh, what a good
Just
question.
one. All you get is one. Ooh, tough. I know, so many good ones.
Yeah, I feel like they all, it's so important to think about them all together that I don't know that I could choose one. They play off of one another. So in a complex way, I guess I would say that we do what we can to keep our response time within but honestly within 8 hours for most of our tickets. And that is and if that goes up, then that means that our satisfaction score is likely to go down. They do influence one another. And so I guess I would say that we pay closest attention to our first time response rate in order to make sure that our agents are, that tells us whether or not we need to scale up our number of agents that are working on tickets at the time.
And spoken like a fantastic contact center professional by saying that they're all important because how they interact with one another. I love that answer. Real quick, before I let you go, what's one Zendesk tip or trick that you'd like to share?
One of my favorite features in Zendesk is being able to promote help center articles. It's really it's a very simple feature, but those are obviously the articles that our customers are most likely to click on. And when we have major bugs or fires or outages or new features, we promote the article there, and it mitigates so many tickets alone without even interacting with Solvy.
Excellent response. All right, well, that is it for today. Thank you, Frances, for sharing your expertise. This was so much fun to talk to you today. And thank you to everyone for sharing a CX moment with us. Please check the chat for a short survey, as we'd love to hear your feedback. We are always trying to improve and bring you the type of conversations like this one that you most want to hear. So thank you for that. And please be safe, be helpful, and we'll chat again very soon. Thank you again, Frances.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.